markets. You've got everybody from your investors to your speculators to your flippers, and all these people, their interests, the business interests, employer interests, are often at odds with the general public interest. They know that there's inflation. They chase that inflationary dollar wherever in the world that dollar, whatever it might be, a euro or whatever, a yuan, whatever it is, because they're interested in getting the numbers to go up as quick as they can. As long as their numbers go up faster than the debasement of the currency can occur, they satisfy their constituents. And of course, if you are an investor that represents your constituents, everybody's trying to make a buck, and you've got to chase those numbers successfully for them. So you better make prudent investments. But often these investments are a form of market manipulation. And the fact that people are investing in a given commodity causes that said commodity to go up. It becomes attractive and it becomes manipulated. And they don't care what the damage is to the regular person, because, of course, the regular person he doesn't have money to willy-nilly invest. He's living hand in mouth and, paycheck to paycheck. So the average working person has no interest in currency debasement. They're not going to see their numbers go up. They're not going to see their income numbers rise faster. They're going to see the debasement of their currency occur. You see, it's very much like a scale. If your cost of living is increasing, okay, here's your cost of living going up. Automatically, unequivocally, immutably, this happens, is that your currency is worth less. And we're not talking about trinkets, knickknacks, or luxury items. We're not talking about laptops, televisions, electronics, VCRs. We're not talking about that sort of thing, because we can all live without those sort of things. What we're talking about is essential human need commodities, basic essential human need commodities. We're talking about primarily housing. And the reason I'm talking primarily about housing is because all you need to do is manipulate one market like that sorely, which is housing is indisputably an essential human need. It's the most natural thing in the world that human beings seek shelter. This is why I'm such an advocate of the homeless and the abjectly poor, is because we've got public agencies like the police running and persecuting the homeless when they have a right to exist on the planet. They're born in America. They have a right to exist. And the first thing about existing is being able to build some kind of shelter, however rudimentary that shelter is. And every time they do that, they get torn down and say, well, they can't do that here. But they don't say where they can do that or assist them in any way. Sure, you've got volunteer programs like Habitat for Humanity. They do what they can, but it's a losing battle because the need keeps increasing faster than they can satisfy any demand. Do you understand how this works? So, yeah, they say they're making progress here and there, and you hear about that, but you understand how far we've fallen and how much progress needs to be made to actually solve these problems. So it's imperative that the people that are on top now, the status quo, maintain the problems. That's the most important thing. So they can say, oh, no, we're not trying to make problems, even though we know their behavior, their activities in the economic realm, their investments and whatnot, are causing the problems. They're causing the debasement of our currency. See, all you need is one commodity we can't get away from. Of course, in this case, it's housing. And that leads to chain reaction inflation. It leads to other things that we can't get away from, like food to go up in cost, because everybody is trying to keep their head above water. So it's logical and reasonable. If your landlord raises your rent $100, you're on a minimum wage job, and you're scrambling to say, oh my God, how am I going to survive? You're scared. That's what they conjure up. They conjure up fear. This is their perverted form of reverence they can extract from us, their pound of flesh. This is the best they can do. So they've all got us by the throat. You understand how this works. None of us know reality. How can we? I think in a previous video I pointed out that it seems to extract about 99% of my ability to enjoy any semblance of of prosperity, any sense of security and freedom that I can behold is taken away by knowing that somebody weaker than me is going to die tonight out on the streets. They're not more or less deserving to die out on the streets, often less. And that's the part that really sears my conscience when I think, I'm a lesser person, but this guy is going to die out on the street. And am I going to be silent to his woes, to his place in the universe, to his plight? No, I can't be. I can't do it and live with myself. I can't. I feel I want God to convict my conscience. I want to feel that pang of guilt. I want to be inspired to speak out. If I'm talking to one person, wonderful. Pass it along. But don't be somebody that can't care. Okay? If everybody was born wealthy, just by decree of the Most High that says, look, this is my planet, this is your stuff, because it's my stuff. It belongs to you. No more do any of us have to feel extravagant, to have anything we want, to live in whatever house you want, to drive whatever car, wear whatever jewelry you want, whatever knickknacks, luxury items, whatever travel excursions you want to go on, anything at all, whatever you want to do, you wouldn't have to feel guilty about it. That's the state I want us to be in. You understand? Because, like was it Victor Hugo that said, prosperity breeds monsters and adversity breeds men. Yes, because that's that reality we're born into. None of us know reality. But if we're born understanding that you were born prosperous and free from these money masters, not beholden to anybody, only beholden to your conscience, to God Almighty, okay, that all this riches is his, and therefore he gives it to us because he's got no shortage. He gave us the wherewithal that gave us the way to create everything we have on this earth. All the infrastructure, all the technology, all the innovations, all the inventions came because God first endowed us with a brain. Okay? That's it. Understand, fundamentally, all glory goes to God. He gave us everything that's truly good. And when you gain wisdom and understanding, it's truly a good thing, and it came from on high. But with that goes great responsibility. Then you have to say, it really is a wicked world. And I do not want to be a part of this pseudo happiness that's out there, because you are prosperous and successful as defined by the worldly, okay? That is what I'm talking. It's a false sense of happiness. You can't enjoy it. You are denying your conscience by doing that. That's a social Darwinian way to believe. Survival of the strongest. Well, I guess this guy just isn't motivated enough. He's not aspiring. He's not intelligent, or he's too lazy. There's something wrong with you why you couldn't succeed. Don't blame the system. Blame yourself. But it's not that way at all. We've got fascist economic policies that's been in effect for God knows how long. People wonder how you go from a guy like Ronald Reagan, who the wealth disparity started to really grow under his reign of terror, and then you wonder how you got Slick Willie. You understand? It's been a seamless transition, a seamless trajectory of the debasement of our currency through cost of living inflation. So you wonder, then you get a guy like Slick Willie in there, and then you wonder how you get a guy like Bush in there, okay? Do you understand how this works? Okay. Well, first we went from Reagan to Daddy Bush, so people still were under the impression that they were deluded. They were deceived by Reaganomics, which weren't allowed to work. Okay. Paul Craig Roberts freely admits that. They weren't going to have anything to do with this trickle-down economics actually working. They could figure out, yeah, that actually could work. Well, the wealth's up here. If it trickles down to the poor, then the poor will have something too, and they can spend it, and that's good for the economy, and that would be a good thing. They weren't going to let that happen. No, housing prices started to grow. Reagan, no doubt, was involved in the banking deregulation, loosening of the currency and all this, letting the Fed have whatever they want, rubber stamping everything they say. So you see how nothing happens in a vacuum. Understand how this works. Cause and effect. One thing leads to another. That's how we end up with, Clinton. is that people were I'll vote for anybody as long. I didn't even vote. I could not stand. I remember that was one election. I didn't like Slick Willie. I did not vote for him. I didn't vote for Reagan. I started to really lose faith in the system. And for whatever reason, sometime in the 90s, I guess, George Bush, and my whole issue was the abortion, because, I knew that, the economy was being run by this Federal Reserve. These are the money masters, and the politicians were just sycophants to these people. They were deferring any authority to the money printing class, who is only supposed to be there in charge of the, getting a little token fee for seigniorage, the printing and currency, issuance. That's all they're supposed to get. Their power is way more than they should have as a central bank. That there's like a clearinghouse for the money that's working for we the people, the government. Not only is the government supposed to be serving you and me, we the people, it's supposed to be you and me, we the people. So you understand how these people have played America like a fiddle, okay? And we've been on the same trajectory. And people say, "Oh, we're going to tweak the establishment here." That whatever in their own special interests, their mind, they rationalize. It's the immigrants, and now we find out that more Mexican immigrants, Latino immigrants, they're leaving America than are entering. Now our big concern is, and these rulers, these evil rulers, they foresaw this. They knew eventually the Mexicans would figure out, hell, it's better down in Mexico. I'd rather live poor and free from my landlord keep raising my rent, and I got to go get social welfare, Cloward and Piven, in order to survive. And then people don't understand that wages are slave level now. How can you? How can you work a full-time minimum wage job and then have to go to the government, beg a hand to survive from the government? How is that okay? Is that what the Latino people want? No, they're getting sick of this thing too. And all it is subsidizing the landlords. Okay? And it's just exacerbating the problem. They say, oh, well, hey, the government's in there subsidizing it, so might as well, whatever the market will bear. And then they'll call that free market capitalism. And don't try to, don't muzzle the ox while it's threshing. Don't try to regulate me, man. I mean, this is capitalism, man. What are you, a commie? What are you, a socialist? No, I'm a freaking American. I'm an egalitarian. I believe in equality. I believe everybody's equal. I believe that all these ruler class, all the billionaire class, all this Bilderberger class, all this New World Order class and globalist class, they put their pants on 1 foot at a time, okay? They got to wipe their butt, and they got to change their underwear, okay? And they're no better than anybody else, okay? They're not doing nothing, okay? Not only do they not contribute and produce anything for humanity, they're just big fat leeches that destroy everything good. That's it. They hate God. They hate good. They hate justice. They hate mercy. They hate peace. They hate stability. Get that through your heads, everybody out there. I'm talking to myself too, folks, because I fall into lethargy. I tell you, I get despondent sometimes, and I just want to dissipate time like everybody else. So I'm not pointing the finger and condemning anybody. I don't want to come across like that, but I am profoundly frustrated. I have been watching this thing unfold my whole life. We had, just like Jim Marrs, Darren McBreen did an interview. I think it was Darren McBreen. It was on his one of his pieces. He was interviewing Jim Marrs, and Jim Marrs was pointing out the same stuff I've talked about. He said it like it is. It was a coup d'etat in 1963 when they blew JFK's brains out. You think these people are going to tolerate sound currency? And people talk about fixing the system? Oh, and Donald Trump's going to fix the system by building the Great Wall of America? Give me a break. Come on, folks. How stupid are we? It doesn't take intelligence to become a billionaire. It takes being insatiable and greedy. It takes a heart being filled with avarice. Who in their right mind needs $1 billion? Are you insane? How insecure and fearful are you? Give me a break. Well, people are dying out on the streets, being cut down, robbing a convenience store for $100 and getting shot down with less regard than a dog, okay? Now we got ISIS. I'm supposed to worry about ISIS breathing down my neck? Go to hell. No way, man. I'm glad Russia stepped in there, and everybody in America is proud. Everybody that's got any iota of their sensibilities left at this point says, good. Putin is saying, you know what, New World Order cabal, I'll tell you what, even your own fighter pilots aren't going to be the Air Force for Al-Qaeda. And they've said so on